I'm enjoying a beautiful Canadian summer day. We have very short summers here, so you got to take advantage of them. I want to share some ideas here with you about how to get the most out of your coaching session. If you have a life coach or more likely an executive coach, how can you ensure that your session, your time together really makes things sing and pop for you, and that it's well worth the time and money that you invest? I'm noticing a phenomenon lately that the people that I run into who have never heard of coaching, they are interested at first, and then they raise their eyebrow and wonder, do people actually pay you for that kind of thing? Then when I talk to other people who, especially those people that seem to be really popping lately, they're really starting to see a lot of personal success, whether that's professional or in their home personal life. I'll ask them, hey, have you ever considered coaching? And quite often they'll respond, oh yeah, already doing it, been doing it for 2 years. That's what's been making the difference. What I want to give you as a thought today is 7 different things to add to your life before you meet with your coach to help make sure that session is going somewhere. One of the things that can get in the way is your own emotion just before you get there. The psyche of the human has a way of shutting down when we're in a fight or flight kind of situation. I'm sure you've heard of that kind of thing. You get adrenaline going through your bloodstream, and you say the things you wish you hadn't said. And the reason for that is that you're basically in that survival mode. You're trying to run away from a tiger, even though there's not a tiger there. Why I'm talking about this now is if you have time before your session, get away, take a moment to relax and center. Whether that's, some people pray, some people like to meditate, some people, might even go to the spa or something before. Maybe some people like to do their coaching at the golf course. And you might even find that you oftentimes will get the aha moment when you're relaxing. The reason for that is that the human brain, particularly an adult brain, works best when it comes to learning when you are relaxed. When we're aroused, whether we're fearful or excited or something like that, we're less capable of learning. Just part of the way that we work. So, point number 1, get relaxed. So you're ready. Second, you want to take the time to make sure that you're ready to reflect. I mean, the reality is you're going to take some time. You're going to think about what it is you want to change in your life. And if you're there with kind of some resistance, saying, no one's going to make me reflect, no one's going to make me think deep about my life, that's kind of like somebody paying for water skiing lessons and insisting that they don't get wet. You want to be able to reflect, and this is the way that a human learns, especially an adult. A fly will bump up against the glass and then just keep bumping and keep on bumping. Whereas a wasp or a bee, well, bees not so much, but wasps, they'll bump up against it, then they'll kind of maybe back off and kind of try and figure it out, or check the perimeters, or they'll look for another way in and out. And that's kind of the way we are as adults. We like to think and reflect about it, and it's from that reflection that we learn. That's what one of the best things about coaching is. You've got someone there in the room with you who is totally committed to sit and think this through with you, talk it through until you get that aha, that realization. The other thing you want to also add to this is that not only are you capable of reflecting, but you're capable of flexing. You are ready to step outside your comfort zone. The reality is life begins on the edge of your comfort zone. And if you're going to coaching, the answer that you're going to find, and again, this is your answer. It's not going to be the coach that's going to tell you what you need to do, but you're finally going to have that aha yourself, realize this is what I was looking for. And then comes the next step, which is now you got to do something about that. If you come already knowing that you're going to step out of your comfort zone, this is going to happen. This is part of what it is to have a coach, an executive coach or a life coach, is that I'm going to get uncomfortable. Just be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Know that that's coming, and you'll see some major changes in your life. So that was the second point, to be ready to reflect and to stretch. Third thought is that you want to come pre-wired. Already have a thought in your head, a sense of what is the main issue that we want to work through. You don't have to necessarily be able to explain it. You don't have to be able to name it. You just know what it is. It's something to do with employee retention, or I'm frustrated with my romantic life, or something that's going on with whatever. Now I'm talking about both executive coaching and life coaching here. Right? When you already have that pre-wired, your unconscious has been working on the problem long before you get there. And in many cases, the coach doesn't have the answer. The coach has the better questions. And if you come having already told yourself what you want to work on, in many cases, the answer is a lot closer to the surface of your consciousness. So that was point 3. The fourth one that you want to think about, this one's a little bit more tricky. And this has to do with our egos. So oftentimes, we don't really want someone to see behind the curtain of what's going on in our mind and in our heart. Sometimes we're even scared about that. You know, the idea being if they were really to see what's going on, if they were really to know how much of a schmuck I am, then they're not going to like me anymore. So you're sitting there with your coach and you're really wanting to deal with an issue. Say it's an issue, I'm just spitballing here, say it's an issue of retention. The thing that you may be afraid to deal with is realizing that maybe the biggest issue is the way that I'm treating employees, or maybe who knows what it is, but you know, or you feel that there's something deep there and I'm just not so sure about it. I think what happens is we get to be like children who, you know, they hurt themselves and they come, they say, I got this sliver, and it's really irritating, and so they bring it to mom or dad and say, and then as soon as mom and dad get close to it, they pull it, no, don't touch it, don't touch it. I think that's what happens to us oftentimes in our coaching situations. You know what? One of the things to get over is that if this person is hired, they're your coach, they're into you. You know, you don't have to impress them. And in most cases, coaches aren't impressed by how much money you make or how good you are at dealing with employees and whatnot. What they're really looking for is how honest you are with yourself, or whether you let yourself bullshit your way out of really looking at the problem. Are you the type of person that can look at your own shadows and deal with them honestly? Or do you have to hide that, not only from your coach and your employees, but from yourself? Relax that. We're into you as coaches. That's what we are. We are some of your biggest fans. So let that shadow be seen, and we're still gonna love you. As a matter of fact, when you let that shadow be seen and we can start working honestly with it, then I think you're going to see the most profound changes in your life, and that will be the thing that will most impress me. So, come centered and relaxed. Number 2, come ready to reflect and be stretched. Number 3, come pre-wired. Number 4, let the air out of your own ego. Number 5, this is a big one, accept responsibility. Some people unintentionally assume that by hiring a coach, the coach is going to do the heavy lifting. The coach is going to be the one to make them successful. Sorry, that's not the way it works. The coach is the one who stands on the sidelines, helps you to understand maybe your strokes, how to do that better, or how to shoot a basketball better, but at the end of the day, it's your body in the pool. It's your feet on the floor. You are the one who's going to make this happen. And if you come with that sense already, knowing that you're going to have a to-do list coming out of this session, then you're a little bit ready. If you're kind of going into it saying, I don't want to add anything more to my life, I just want to talk, but I don't really want to make any changes, and I don't want to add any work, well, you know, you're not quite ready for this session yet. People that are extremely busy struggle with this, especially executives that have a huge to-do list, because they're looking and saying, I can't add anything more. Well, the reality is you can't even deal with the list that you've got now. You're already cutting things out, and that's actually pretty normal. But what we do through the coaching session is help you to strategize what it is that you want to cut out, and then give yourself space to hit the things that are your highest priorities. That's going to happen if you come at it with this attitude. Again, you want to have this attitude that says, I'm going to take responsibility. Now here's something that can help. We oftentimes, again, think that the coach is the one who has the answers. The coach isn't. You're the one that has the answers. You're the one that has the resources. Now, you may even feel, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I don't really know how to get out of this. But you know what? Your unconscious does. And if you take the time with your coach to discover that answer inside, suddenly you're going to have one of these aha moments that just goes, duh, why didn't I realize that all this time? Why did I need a coach to help me find that? And maybe you didn't need a coach. Maybe if you would have waited 3 months, one day in the shower, you would have suddenly had that realization. But by seeing a coach, you're going to get that earlier. But remember, it was your answer. It wasn't the coach's answer. That being the case, you will be much more inspired to take responsibility for it because it was yours. It wasn't the coach. That's the same also with resources. You may think, I'm going to need to have more personal motivation, more pizzazz before I'm going to be able to accomplish this. And I just don't have that in me. Uh-oh, we're getting chased by a guy on a ride mower. I'll get out of the way here. But the thing is, again, with that attitude, that comes when you think that you're going to get it from the coach. The coach isn't the one who's going to give it to you. He's going to find it within yourself. Or she's going to find that within yourself. I'll just let this guy go by. Hi. That attitude that gets you excited and inspired and whatnot, you know what? You may not have it for the thing that you're trying to accomplish, but I can guarantee if you're working with me, give me 15 minutes to half an hour, and you will have it by the end of our coaching session. And it won't be something that I gave you. It's something that's already in you. We just need to leverage it out. Got two more points here. The second last one is to dance with your coach when it comes to the questions. The job of the coach is not to give you the answer. The job of the coach is to ask you those kind of questions that you've never asked yourself before. Today I was talking with a coaching friend of mine, and I was working on my doctoral dissertation, or I was supposed to be working on my doctoral dissertation this week. And I've been struggling, to be honest, because I'm here to camp, and there's a children's camp right beside where I like to camp. A buddy of mine is the camp director, and he kept asking me if I wouldn't mind taking the kids out fishing for 4 hours a day. Different cabin loads out fishing. It was wonderful. It was really great. However, I didn't get much of my dissertation written. So my coaching friend asked me a question I'd never thought of before. She said, what does teaching kids about fishing teach you about writing a dissertation? What a unique question. Never ever thought of it before. And I really had to sit back for just a second, and all of a sudden, boom, a whole bunch of neat things about the way that I'm dealing with my dissertation came popping into mind. One of the big things that kids do when they're trying to learn how to fish is they fiddle with the fishing rod and the reel and the hooks, and we'd have them out there, and there was this one hot spot. It was a really great fishing hole, and we'd be trolling closer and closer to it, and then they'd ask me, can I reel it up? Can I look at my hook? I'm not sure. And they're fiddling, and we're just about to come over the hot spot. And those that they're brand new at fishing, they'd want to spend more time looking at their hook than they would actually fishing. And I realized that that's kind of what I'm doing with my dissertation. Today I realized that, talking with my coach. I'm fiddling with it when I should be just writing it and not messing around with the grammar and what it is, all the technicalities. Just get it done, get it written, keep the hook in the water, keep writing. That question she asked me, again, my point here is to dance with your coach. They're going to ask you a question that ideally gets your brain thinking down a different pathway. Our brains are just like habits. We keep thinking the same thoughts over and over again. I liken it to pigeons. Pigeons, they keep circling, doing the same pattern over and over again. And our brains are like that. And the coach, what they do, if they're really worth the money that you're spending, they're going to ask you a question that makes that flight path all of a sudden go obtuse in a different direction, one you've never been before. And when it goes obtuse, it all of a sudden accesses some of the things that are in your brain that have been sitting there latently waiting to come into play. While you're wrestling with the issue, the coach should be also wrestling with the issue, but also watching what is this person thinking? What is their thinking pattern, and how can I ask them a question that's going to just break things open? So when they ask a question like that, I've had this happen sometimes in coaching sessions where I'll ask that obtuse question, and the person they'll be so focused on what it is they're trying to say, but they're saying it again. It's like the 17th time that they've said this thing, and I'll ask them that obtuse question, and they'll just say, no, that's not it, and they'll get back into that thing there, and they stay in that pattern, that circling pattern. So be ready for that. When the coach asks that question, go for it. Just see. Discover what's waiting in your unconscious to spring out and give you that radical answer that all of a sudden makes you go, that's what I've been waiting for. Aha, I have my breakthrough. The final one I want to give you is that when you get that aha, when you have that moment where you just go, there, that's it, that's what I need, and you kick yourself that you didn't see that earlier, write it down or engrave it on the side of your forehead or do something with it that you do not lose that thing. It's weird, but once our consciousness is able to express that and it comes into place, then our unconscious kind of feels good. I finally got it out, that thing that I needed to hear, and then it just kind of relaxes again. And you know what I find often happens is that we have that aha, and then we forget it. Like, I'm talking minutes later. It's a strange phenomenon. What I would totally encourage you to do, write it down. I notice this because my clients will all of a sudden be having the same conversation that we had the week before. And I have to remind them, well, what happened to that thing? And they'll just all of a sudden sit back and go, oh, how did that happen? I forgot. I wrestled with it. I found that answer, and then I forgot. So take the time, write that down, and make sure that that's happening. If your coach is really good, after you have that aha, they're also going to immediately have you putting wheels to the action to make that happen. So they're going to help you focus on describing the goal. They're going to help you make some strategic steps to hit it. But you may not have time for that. It just depends. So to recap the 7 thoughts again. First of all, get yourself relaxed and ready so that your consciousness is ready for this thing. Second, reflect. Be ready to go deep. Be ready to stretch. Just be ready. Know it's coming. It's going to happen, and that's what's supposed to happen. Show up pre-wired if you can, already knowing what it is that you want to talk about. Let the air out of your ego. Relax. We like you. And we're going to like you even more if you're able to clear all the bullshit out of the way. Accept responsibility. Know that this is your life that you're living, not the coach's. And it's for you to do the work, for you to step up and do the heavy lifting. Dance with your coach's questions. When they're going to hit you with something obtuse, explore. See, maybe the answer will pop into your mind. It might even be a really stupid question, but just the way it's asked will suddenly help you discover the thing that you're trying to solve. And finally, when you get that aha, when you have that moment of brilliance that just says, that's what I was looking for, write it down. Don't lose it. So, as we close here, if you're interested in talking to me about coaching or anybody else, I have a list of coaches in our area. And if you're interested in having some of these kind of conversations with me about what you're trying to do in life, just give me a call or email me. I offer, at this point in life, I offer a complimentary session of coaching, a 40-minute session, so you can experience it. If you've never yet experienced coaching, whether that's executive coaching or life coaching or anything like that, give me a call. It's one of those things that you almost need to experience it to understand it. Just listening to me describe it won't be enough. So just give me a call. So I'm going to finish off here. I don't know if you notice, there's some Saskatoon berries. Great way to spend a Saskatchewan summer. Thanks for listening.